Bienvenidos amigos a una entrevista con el gran guitarrista Adrian Smith. Me van a ver un segundito acá y ya pasamos con la nota porque les quiero contar un poco de qué va. Adrian Smith, por supuesto, mítico guitarrista de Iron Maiden, pero ustedes saben que muy prontamente él nos va a estar visitando también junto al gran Richie Kotzen, ¿sí? Quienes conforman en formato de dúo el proyecto Smith Kotzen. Esto va a ser el 21 de abril en el Teatro de Flores, ¿sí? Les voy a dejar acá más bien en la descripción el link para adquirir sus tickets, para ver a Adrian en un formato más íntimo, ¿sí? De hecho, vamos a hablar un poco de eso en la entrevista. Y también hay varias instancias en la misma, en la cual tenemos ahí algunos temitas de Iron Maiden que salen a la luz, que seguramente les van a interesar muchísimo. No los aburro más, solamente con que se suscriban al canal, activen esa campanita de notificaciones, dejen un like, recuerden Smith Kotzen, 21 de abril, Teatro Flores. Dicho esto, seguimos con la entrevista. Well, now formally recording, I greet you again, Adrian. Hope it's going well over there.
Yeah, I'm just on vacation, so
Oh, okay,
it's going well.
fantastic. Well, thank you for taking the time for the interview while on vacation. Well, of course, we're here to discuss the coming of Smith Kotzen to Latin America, well, to Argentina. You'll be playing on the 21st of April. Well, kind of an interesting visit because I think it's the first time you're visiting us, at least playing without Maiden. You know our country very well, actually, but what are your expectations now performing at a more intimate venue in this occasion?
An intimate venue, yeah. Well, we just did excuse me, we just did I think 27 dates across Europe, and it was great, And it's a cliche, but it's great to get back to playing smaller places and having immediate contact with fans, really, people. And it's a completely different experience, obviously, to Maiden. You're walking out on a big football stadium, but it's something I really enjoy. And we're playing stuff from the first album, second album, and it's great to see the songs coming alive in front of an audience. It's very, very rewarding. So we're expecting, audiences in Argentina are always fantastic. So we're really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, actually, the place you're playing at here, Teatro Flores, I've seen Richie with, well, he's as a solo artist with the Winery
Yeah.
Dogs. He's more
Yeah.
used to playing this kind of venues. What was the transition like for you? Because you played, well, in the last, every time you came to Argentina, for example, actually, well, stadiums.
Yeah. Like I said, I really enjoyed playing the Cubs. I mean, it's different, in Europe, we had a tour bus. I haven't used a tour bus for many, many years. It was good fun. It was like, back to basics. A couple of times, because we don't have the road crew that we have with Maiden. With Maiden, we got 60 people. I think when Richie and I tour, we have like 4 road crew. And, a couple of times, I actually got lost on the way to the stage a few times. I nearly missed the intro of the set. There was a gig in Nottingham in England, and if you go down in these clubs and it's like basement and there's all different doors, and I think I've gone to the loo or something, and the rest of the guys have gone to the stage, and the intro tape was playing, and I'm standing there and I'm wearing like a cowboy hat. I got my stage gear on, red scarf and everything, and I couldn't. I was on my own. It was like beer crates and probably rats running around. And so I went to the bar and I opened the door and there was a bar there and people were, the stage was here, and I said
Right.
I've got to get on stage. I'm lost. And
Did you make it in time?
They're like, what are you doing here? Where's your pass and all this stuff? They thought I was like trying to break into the place. I got on stage. I mean, I just got on stage.
Great.
Funny little things like that wouldn't happen at a Maiden gig because we have like 3 people making sure we get on stage on time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, it's fun. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the more loose framework. We don't play the songs the same every night either, so you never know what's going to happen. Especially with Richie, he'll go off and improvise and that. But it's quite spontaneous sometimes.
Okay, great to hear. Well, I've read you recently described Richie as a more soul and jazz player, and yourself as a rather bluesy and melodic one in your words. I wanted to ask you to what extent were you familiarized with each other's background when you started working, and how do you feel the relationship has evolved, well, to this newer record and till this day?
Well, I got tremendous respect for Richie as a musician, and he's my friend as well, obviously. But you know, I think he started playing guitar when he was 8 years old, piano, and he was really into the music. I mean, I was always into music, but I never really started playing till I was around 15, and because everyone starts asking, what are you going to do with your life at that age, what do you what's your career, where are you going to, in what direction? And I was like, I don't know, who knows? But when I heard, I think it was Deep Purple for the first time, I thought, well, I wouldn't mind doing that. And so I started then, and I wanted desperately to be in a band. But so I started singing before playing guitar. I've always kind of messed around singing. My mum used to enter me into talent competitions when I was a kid. She'd make me go up on the stage and sing and stuff. So I kind of had that in my blood. And I met Dave Murray from Maiden, who'd already been playing a couple of years. And we became friends when we were 15, 16. Started a band. I was singing, he playing guitar. And I learned as I went along. That's how I learned. So probably Richie and I's motivation for playing were different. I mean, me as a 15-year-old, I was looking for direction in my life. And with Richie, when he was only 8 years old, he probably just, had a really strong connection to music.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think irrespective of the way anyone plays, if someone's up there on the stage and they're able to speak in that musical language and communicate from their sort of mind and their heart through their instrument, doesn't matter how many, if you can get through to people, I mean, that's what it's all about. You're trying to reach people, tell a story. So, that's what we try and do.
Okay, great. Well, you mentioned, I've heard you a couple of times. I'll actually tell how you met Dave Murray. You were friends and he was playing guitar and you wanted to sing as well because he was already also playing
Yeah.
guitar. And I wanted to know because you never try to copy like Dave Murray or any other style. In fact, your styles in Maiden are quite different when you start soloing or including maybe some riffs. With Richie, the same. You can tell when one is soloing the other one. So,
Yeah.
I mean, was that surrounding that drove you to develop your particular style as well, and not trying to copy what you were seeing or who you had around?
It's a very good question because obviously when you're learning to play, and we're all still learning, but when you try and copy something, you, especially, a few years ago where you didn't have the internet and you didn't have instructional videos, so you'd be listening to things, trying to work things out, and maybe not getting it 100% right, but in the process you come up with something else which is your own, and that's what makes the world go round.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you have influences. I mean, when I was a kid it was Richie Blackmore and Paul Kossoff and Michael Schenker, Thin Lizzy, Gary Moore, all that stuff. But you take your inspiration and then it just goes through your brain and comes out slightly different. And that's the wonderful thing. Everyone, it's expression. You take something and you express it as your own and communicate. So I just developed that style. Maybe it's got something to do with I've always sang, so I've never been into long improvised solos, which is where Richie and I differ, because he can solo, mind you, if I sit down at home, I can, I'll just noodle away if I'm practicing. But on stage and sort of professionally, I'm a 16 bars guy, solo is 16 bars, and that's it. That's beyond. I think of it as a sort of a mini composition. It has to make sense and speak to people.
Mm-hmm. Great. And well, of course, one of the main, we are speaking about you as a singer. You had done it in the past with Maiden as well with your solo project, with the ADRIAN SMITH project. But here with Richie, you're singing a lot, actually share a lot of vocal duties. I imagine you've spoken a lot about this, but maybe if you would like to shed some light on those who are seeing of how you distribute your working on the vocal lines. Also, you do a great of not only your lead melodies, but I really enjoy your backing vocals at some choruses, because you
Yeah,
also add those really important dynamics to
yeah,
certain songs. In Blindsided, for example, in the last one,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. But that's a ton of examples. But how's that work like?
Well, yeah, I mean, Richie and I work very naturally together. We have, I mean, Richie has a higher or more range, you know, he can, and he's developed, I mean, he's done 20 solo albums or something. So he's developed his voice over the years. He's worked on it. He's got different techniques. I'm starting to learn more technique because I've had a break from this for a long while. I've got the basic thing, but I'm just starting to develop techniques. But I don't think I'll ever have his range. So I find I normally take the verses, because normally I'll bring in an idea for a song, like a verse and like a feel for the drums, and set that up, a riff, and then Richie will come up with a chorus, which is be in a higher register. So it's very natural. You know, I sing most of the verses and Richie sings choruses. Sometimes it spins around, but and I think when we started working together, we naturally just started swapping lines, and it felt you know very natural to do that. And I think it's good because it gives it a different edge. I don't think very few bands can do that, because you know singers are notorious for having big egos. So if you have two singers, you know, but
Right.
Richie and I just, you know, same with guitar. I suppose we respect each other enough to, you know, it's 50-50 everything we do.
Hmm.
But it's not really something we discuss a lot, but it's there, you know.
I like that you also, when speaking about this project, made it quite clear that there were no egos around, always the 50-50 percentage, like you're mentioning right now. Was there ever a moment while working in a song where you found yourself, I don't know, like wanting to sing a Richie part or playing a Richie part or vice versa, or
Right.
do you cope well with that?
You know what? No, honestly, no. And I said to Richie the other day, you know, we uh, halfway through the tour, I said, you know, what we're doing, I am operating on my maximum singing and playing. I've got all I can handle, and I absolutely love it. You know, so I don't want any more, and it's great to share the load as well, because going out, you know, singing for an hour and a half, 2 hours is a tough gig, you know, and playing and you know talking to the audience, but because we share it, it's just great fun, and it is physically hard. I'd say it's physically harder than what I do with Maiden in some respects, because singing is, you know, it's almost like a workout. It's like a breathing thing. So
Hmm.
you know, but I do enjoy it, and like I say, I'm firing on all cylinders. I can't there's not a lot more I could do, you know.
Yeah. And in an hypothetical case, I hope the answer is yes, but the future will tell. We get a new Maiden record. Maybe would you think there be a bit of room for your vocals now that you're singing more actively?
I don't think so. I mean, I did a bit of backing vocals with Maiden, but
Hmm.
I don't know. That's a good question. Um, if someone asked me to do it, like Steve or Bruce said, "Why don't you sing this bit?" I'll be great, but I wouldn't put myself forward to say I want to sing that bit, or you know, because that's, you know, Maiden has a way of working that
Right.
works. So, but you know, but it might be interesting. Yeah, but who knows in the future?
Of course, the future will tell.
Yeah.
Um, of course, well, Smith Kotzen, as you mentioned, has got a lot of 70s musical influences, kind of an old school hard rock, blues based music. With that in mind, how much room for experimentation do you think there is in the band? Maybe in the future, I don't know, I'm just saying, you'd like to go a bit progressive, for example. Would you be down
Yeah.
for something like that, or?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, we're always going to be. I mean, Richie gets asked this a lot, and you know, he's known as a virtuoso guitarist, but he's more into, or as much into songs. You know, I think songs will last the test of time. And you say we're 70s influence, we are, but if I didn't think we were doing something fresh and new with that spirit, I wouldn't bother. But I think we're elevating it, with melody, mixing the blues influence with melody. And to me, melodies are timeless. A good melody is a timeless thing; it will last. So, I think we're doing something, credible musically.
Absolutely. Well, I would never make you choose because I imagine you really enjoy doing both Maiden and this project. But I imagine you must feel kind of more fulfilled nowadays doing this. Well, this different maybe side of yourself that is not that metal per se, but well, it's quite of your DNA musically speaking as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to those bands up Free, Deep Purple, which really were the roots of metal when you think about it. That the guitars got more distorted and louder, and the production got more intense. It's all there in the roots of it. So yeah, it's definite connection there. But Smith Kotzen wasn't something. Well, I suppose in the back of my mind I was looking for it, but I wasn't like desperately searching for it. It just, like all the best things, it kind of happened very organically and very naturally, and very much in simpatico with Iron Maiden, because Steve's doing side project, Bruce is doing side project, so
Yeah.
the time is right now. When I did it before, it probably created, back in the 80s, it created a uneasy kind of atmosphere. When someone goes off from a band and does something on the side, and people it's natural. You kind of think, oh, aren't we good enough for him? But life's short. You got to just do what you think's right.
Right. And you still have no, well, when you started, you say there were no high expectations for Smith Kotzen. Do you still think the same thing, or has it changed?
No, I do have. I do. I would like to see it, progress, and obviously it's natural to want things to get to another level. We've been working on it. I think the songs are stand up well, and what we're doing is different. So I'd like to. I'd certainly like to be successful enough for us to continue to do it, which it is at the moment. We have had some success, which is very nice, very gratifying. So, yeah,
fantastic. Well, to start rounding up the interview, I mean, not only a very busy year with Smith Kotzen, you've already had the 50th anniversary with Maiden, the movie. You're coming again to Argentina with Maiden later this year.
that's right.
Do you think you're in the highest point of your career nowadays?
Well, in some ways, yeah. I mean, it's nice to, I feel good. I feel like I can still do all this stuff, physically and mentally. As you get older, everything gets more straightforward and more focused, really. I mean, sometimes when you're young, you're just kind of chasing your tail, But it's nice just to appreciate all the good things that that I have, now, musically and personally. So it's great. So long may it continue. Touch wood.
Absolutely. Well, Adrian, I would like to thank you a lot for taking the time to speak with me. A big fan, well, Maiden all my life, and nowadays of your new project. Well, new, a couple of years actually. Looking forward to seeing you. And if you would like to send an invitation to your Argentinian fans that are watching this, what would you say to them?
April 21, Teatro Flores. Come and see Richie and I, and a wonderful band, and you'll have a good time, I promise.
Great. Well, thanks a lot again, and see you on the 21st.
All right, cheers.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.